We are showing you the components of a sand mold once again. This diagram we have discussed in a lot of detail earlier. So you already know all these components, right? You have the flask. You have the flask, which is the outside. The top of the flask is the cope. The bottom is the drag. You have the pouring basin. You have the sprue. You have the gate having a choking mechanism or not. You have runners. You have the mold cavity. You may have a blind riser. You definitely have an open riser. And of course there is sand. And the line between the cope and the drag is called the parting line. So this you already know, but we are just showing you once again. Types of sand mold. Types of sand mold. Green sand mold. Green sand mold, mixture of sand, clay and water. Sand, clay and water. Green means that the mold contains moisture at the time of pouring. Moisture at the time of pouring. Right, this is just a name. This is just a name. If there is almost no moisture, then it is right, not green. So this green, I'll not go into the linguistics. If you go to the dictionary and ask for meanings of green, then you will see that green is not just the color green. For example, the environmental movement is called the green movement, but green also has another meaning. So this is from there that it is not completely dry. So green sand mold, if it has some moisture in it. Dry sand mold, of course, if there are organic binders rather than clay. If we have to use clay, then we have to mix some water, otherwise it will not be a good binder. But if we use some organic binders, and we do not need any water, then it is a dry sand mold. And the mold is also baked to improve the strength. Even a green sand mold can be made green, and then you can put it inside an oven to bake it for some time so that the strength is improved. And then a skin dried mold. Drying the mold cavity surface of a green sand mold to a depth of 10 to 25 millimeter using torches or heating lamps, right? So green sand mold, you leave whatever amount of water was there in the mold. You don't do anything after making the mold. Dry sand mold, you bake it and you use organic binders. Or skin dried, in between, you have a green sand mold, but then you use torch or heating lamp so that you don't heat the whole mold, but heat all the walls so that there is a dry skin of the sand only, right? So green sand mold, dry sand mold and skin dried sand mold. These are the types of sand mold. Again, when will be this type better and when will be the other type better? These type of decisions will be based on certain factors that will be more clear to you if you are in the industry. Right now, in a first basic course where we are doing lots of manufacturing techniques, this much is enough. Desirable mold properties. Desirable mold properties. Again, please don't read, right? That I ask you many times. That we can tell you, but you are knowledgeable modern people who have a science and engineering background already. And we have been discussing sand casting. So, desirable mold properties. What properties should be there in a sand mold so that we can say it is a good sand mold? Tell me. It is a strong, right? It is a strong. It does not break easily. Otherwise, when you pour the sand, it is at a pour the metal, it is at a high temperature and it flows down at some speed. It can break away the sand. So the sand mold should be strong, right? It should be easy to make. It should be easy to make. It should give the casting a good surface finish. It should be easy to cool, right? And so on, right? So you can always think of a lot of the topics that are to be covered by yourself. So yes, strength to maintain the shape and to resist erosion, right? You know that when a liquid, a fluid flows around something and it removes some pieces, it is called erosion. Like rocks in the mountains are eroded by wind and water. permeability to allow hot air and gases to pass through the voids in the sand. Thermal stability to resist cracking on contact with molten metal. Collapsibility, on one side strength, on the other side collapsibility, so that they can be easily broken once the casting is complete. And reusability, this is very, very important. If every time you use the sand and you can't use it anymore, then hundreds of thousands of tons of sand will be gone, right? So reusability, can, after breaking up the mold, can you use this sand again? Of course, you will have to most probably process it again, mix it with clay and water and so on again, but can you use it again, right? So these are some of the major properties that we need in the sand mold. Pattern making, right? We have already talked about it to some extent. The pattern is a physical model of the casting used to make the mold, right? Whatever casting you want to make, you make the pattern almost exactly of the same size and shape and geometry. And you use this pattern to make the mold. The mold is made by packing molding sand around the pattern. When the pattern is withdrawn, when you remove the pattern from the mold, its imprint provides the mold cavity, which is ultimately filled with the metal to become the casting. If the casting is to be hollow, as in the case of pipe fittings, additional patterns and so on, so additional patterns known as cores are used to form these cavities, right? So the normal pattern is one pattern which you use to make the mold cavity. But if the casting is hollow, then two patterns, one the main pattern and another called a core, are together used so that you can make a hollow casting. Types of patterns, right? Solid pattern, split pattern, match plate pattern, cope and drag pattern. Okay, so suppose this is the pattern. This is the pattern. You use this, you make it out of metal, you make it out of wood, you make it out of high strength polymer plastic. Then you put it into the sand and you, force, tap, pressurize the sand all around it so that you get the sand mold. This can be in two pieces rather than one. So then it will be split pattern. If you use the split pattern, then you put one part of the pattern in the cope of the mold and you put the other in the drag. So then it will be easy to remove. If it is one piece pattern, then it will be difficult to remove, right? So this is a split pattern. Or you can put this part and this part on a plate. So this is a match plate pattern. And you put this inside and tamp it, and when you use this part, then you are making the cope part. When you use that part, you are making the drag part. So you can use the match plate pattern twice and so on. And cope and drag pattern, that you directly have it for the cope side, you directly have it for the drag side and so on, right? Even if you use this one, remember that your sand mold is cope and drag. So your flask, the iron flask outside, is in two parts. So you untie the bolts and so on, you are doing only half the mold at one time. So you press this inside the sand, but you are making only half the mold. Then you remove that, you use the drag part and you use the same again very carefully. And right, so you can use a single solid pattern or a split pattern or a match plate pattern, and it depends on what type of facility you have and what are the preferences of the pattern making and mold making engineers there. The core, of course, right? The core. It is a full scale model of the interior surface. If you have a hole or some inside cavity, it is inserted into the mold cavity prior to pouring. So now you have already used the pattern, solid or split or whatever, and you have made the cope and the drag parts. So, and then you have removed the pattern. So now the sand mold is ready and the mold cavity is ready. Mold cavity is also ready. Once the mold cavity is ready, then you insert the core into it. Then you insert the core in. There is a mold cavity and you have now a core inside. So this part of the cavity can be filled up, this part of the cavity can be filled up, but wherever there is the solid mold, solid core, then there will be a hole later on, right? The molten metal flows and solidifies between the mold cavity and the core to form the casting's external and internal surfaces, right? It may require supports to hold it in position in the mold cavity during pouring. So this is important. You see, you have a mold cavity and the core is to hang in the middle. So how will you allow it to hang in the middle? If you just keep it there, it will fall down on something. So there should be some holding devices. Those are called chaplets. Chaplets are used only if there is a core, right? You have a pattern, you have made the sand mold, you have removed the pattern. Now you want to insert the core in the mold cavity and you want to hold it in place. So something called chaplets is used so that the core can remain in place. The core is usually made of sand, and the void space between the core and the mold cavity surface becomes the casting, right? And usually it is not just that the core is made of sand, but then it is usually baked and made pretty strong so that it lasts. And the core can be used again and again. The core does not need to be, right? It is just like the pattern. The pattern you use, you make the mold cavity, you remove the pattern. You use the pattern again. So the core also, you make the casting, you remove, after the casting is done, you remove the core. And of course, you have to make sure that now, because the core will be there once the casting has solidified, so the lubrication on the core surface around which the metal has already solidified should be very carefully designed and done so that the core can be easily removed, right? So this is important. The core in the mold, the core in the mold. So you see, this is the whole sand mold. This is the cope part, this is the drag part, right? So the pouring basin, the riser, the gate, and so on. And this, sorry, not the riser, the sprue. This is blind riser, which may be there, may not be there. Now, if this is the casting, so this is the cavity, and if it is to be hollow like this, if it is to be hollow like this, you see, there is this round portion, and then there is a step, and then there is this another cylindrical portion, and there is a hole in between, right? So this part will be this portion of the casting. This remaining part will be this part of the tube, and for the hole, the core is there, and the core is using these chaplets. The core is using these chaplets. These are especially designed pins or joining mechanisms or fastening mechanisms so that the core can be held inside. One technique, if you see already, that some portion of the core is already inside the sand mold, isn't it? So you make this cavity in the sand mold so that you can push the core all the way there. So one side is already held. One side is already held. And the other side, which could go up and down because of the fluid pressure and so on, then you hold by chaplets, right? So this is a pretty technical work, that how do you design the sand mold in such a way that you have a good solid holding of the core. So you design some a small cavity where you can put the core, and on the other open side of the core you can use chaplets and so on, and in the end you get a casting with a hole or a cavity inside. Okay, so we will stop here for today, and I keep on repeating my request that please go through the lecture notes and through the video lectures before you come to the next class and so on, and especially before you come to the online session. If you do it every week, then 2 lectures are completely revised every week, and then you don't have to do much more at the time of quizzes and exams. Thanks a lot. Ma'as salama.